Right. So we are reading Aghora. We are reading Aghora, the left hand of God. We are on in chapter 6, page number 182 of the book and 94 of the PDF.
The left-hand path. Why do they call Aghora the left-hand path? Look at the difference between the right and left hands, at least in Indian culture. The right hand takes the food and drinks to the mouth, performs religious ceremonies, makes offerings, and does everything else auspicious. The left hand must perform all the inauspicious activities, cleaning the excretory orifices, even killing animals, and almost all the people in the world are naturally right handed. Agora is the mastery of all actions, inauspicious as well as auspicious. Left is always more intense than right. Because the left side of the body is controlled by Shakti, this is why a man's wife must sit at his left side when they perform rituals together. Left handed people are really good in their chosen fields, especially music.
Okay, so so what happens? I mean, over here it says that when you are performing a ritual, the wife must sit on the left hand of the man. Generally speaking, in our culture, when we are performing any ritual, the wife sits on the right side. Oh, sorry, yeah, on the left side only. Yeah, of the man. So yeah, ठीक है. So the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. So the right side is the emotional side, and the wife deals with emotionality. So that's true.
I have a question.
Yeah,
What if the man is left-handed? Then where does the wife sit?
it doesn't say. The wife always is on the left side.
Okay, whether you're left-handed or right-handed.
Yeah. So I've tested this in few cases also. When people are sleeping, right? The wife should sleep on the left side of the man. I've tested this and it actually works. We get people when I go for doing energy field testing in people's houses. I actually make them lie down on their bed and test where the energy field is good. And generally, I find that when the wife is on the left side of the man and the husband is on the man is on the right side of the woman, the energy field is better.
And Aguri forgets the meaning of inauspicious. Orthodox people think that corpses, skulls, and menstrual blood are filthy, and that anyone who would use them for worship is insane, or worse, the very thought of eating human flesh nauseates them. But an Aguri finds these things extremely useful to him.
So again, one okay, so the Agori uses everything that is there around him to enhance his sadhana, right? He is always listening to the universe to give him messages, to tell him what to do. So anything that is produced by the universe is auspicious to the Agori. Okay, nothing is inauspicious.
To become an Agori is to accept everything in the universe as part of the Atma. But you don't just jump to that stage directly because you could never cope with it without a satisfactory preparatory period. You must do things stepwise, just as a child does his schooling. You don't ask the child to take an examination in algebra on the day he learns addition. And in Agora, you always start with the basics and work up very slowly, unless, as in my case, you start at the top. But this is exceedingly rare.
So again, it's always one step at a time, right? The growth comes one step at a time. You need to do the process. You need to keep doing the process. For example, when we are doing radical yoga, I don't know how many of you all are joining that process. She started with the hand, okay, with the hands. And then she went on to the legs. But on the day that she did the legs, she first made you do the hands and then the legs. The next day, she did the neck and the shoulders. But then to go to the neck and shoulders, first she went to the hand, then the legs, then the shoulders, right? Even in the Monroe process, whenever you're going into the higher focus levels, first you will go to focus 10, then you'll go to focus 12, then you'll go to focus 15. Then when you go to 21, you'll go to 10, then you'll go to 12, then you'll go to 15, then you'll go to 21. So it's always a step by step progress. Very few people can tolerate doing the end thing before doing the lower things and going up in the progression.
And Aghori is awarded his diploma only after he becomes fearless. What should he fear? Not only spirits, goals, and whatnot, but the entire working of the samsara.
So again, what is happening over here, right? Fear in any esoteric practice is the biggest thing that you need to transcend. If you go into any esoteric practice with fear, that is what is going to manifest. And today over here, what he's saying is not only spirits, gods, and whatever, but the entire working of the sansara. So anything that creates attachment in you is something that you need to transcend and you need to get over with. Okay. So attachment is the biggest fear. If you are attached, it will always create problems for you.
Do you have any idea how many murders occur every minute on the face of the globe? How many rapes, how many robberies, lootings, tortures, and other heinous crimes? How many times each second people are cheated, misled, duped, and made fools of? When you try to put it all into perspective, it's too much. It will frighten you when you think of the tremendous load of karmas. Once you have gyan, you know the consequence of each action. You will be so scared of karma, you will think 1,000 times before doing anything at all. So deep will be your fear.
So again, knowledge is extremely important. But if knowledge puts fear into you, then it ultimately also becomes a problem. But doing things or performing an action with knowledge becomes extremely important. But again, if you get fearful about stuff, then it creates a problem for you.
But you must go beyond this fear and realize that it is all part of the whole, all moving according to nature's sublime plan. Every murder, every cruelty has its significance. You must love everything taking place in the samsara. That doesn't mean you should go out and murder, but you will realize that even murder is just part of the play of the three gunas, all due to the law of karma and therefore a part of nature.
So nothing is happening without something else happening, right? So again, everything is tied to everything else. So whatever is happening, if you are really going into Aghori, then you will accept whatever is happening. Everything is happening for the good. That is the basic line that is there. And we need to understand that there is a bigger play going on where that we with our small consciousness are not really aware of.
A,
Yeah, okay.
a good test for an agori is this: when you can eat your own feces and real love for it, you have achieved a tiny bit. I don't mean perversion. I am talking about true oneness with all existence. You have produced the feces, it is a part of you. You enjoyed eating the food which produced it. And the only thing between the food and the feces is you. Why should you find it so repugnant? Feces is just as much as part of the Atma as your body and your consciousness are. Who is feeding what to whom? The Atma is feeding the Atma to the Atma. It is all the play of the Atma. When an Aghori reaches this stage, he eats whatever he finds: dead dogs, offal, slops from the gutter, his own flesh. He finds whatever he eats equivalent to the tastiest dishes, all because he does not falsely discriminate. He sees everything as one, no attraction or repulsion. When the body demands food, he eats whatever is available.
So now if you look at a small baby or a child, right, they are not adverse to their feces. They will eat the feces also. They will play with their own feces. There is no distinction in the baby's mind, right? Because the ego has not come into the picture. So what are we talking over here? Over here, because the Aghori starts to identify with that one, with the Atma, then everything is a part of that one. So the Aghori cannot create a distinction between anything. So now if food is required, whatever is available, the Aghori will eat it. If it has to be his own feces also, they will eat it. This is also one of the reasons to transcend this adverse or this disgust with feces. They tend to rub their own feces all over their own body, so that they transmute that repulsion into, because the more you do it, if you keep doing something which in the beginning was repulsive to you, but then as you keep doing it, it doesn't matter anymore. That's why even for many foods, you say that it is an acquired taste. I'm sure everyone who's tasted liquor for the first time thinks, why the hell do people do it? If the first time you smoke a cigarette, why the hell do you do it, right? So everyone feels like that, but you continue doing it. After some time, you acquire a taste for that. So in the same process, you can acquire a taste to acquire a taste for literally anything. But the Aghori does not create a distinction with anything.
Agouris eat human flesh, but not because they have become cannibals. There is a ritual involved. I have eaten human flesh many times. Even my son has eaten human flesh. I used to wait at a funeral pyre until the skull would burst. It bursts with a fine pop, and then I would rapidly, to avoid burning my fingers, pull out parts of the brain which would be gooey mass, partially roasted by them, and would eat it. It was nauseating, but at the moment you must forget your nausea and everything else. This is sadhana, not dinner at the Ritz. There was an Aghori in Girnar named Sevadas who had specialized in eating the human brain. But after some time, he left it and became absolutely sattvic, the sweetest, softest possible sadhu. That is the true test of an Aghori. From full blown tamas, he must graduate to pure sattva, love for all.
So again, no distinction, right? Nothing is adverse, nothing is too good. So all the good and the bad, the distinction totally vanishes.
This is sadhana. Sorry. When you see one in all and all in one, there can be no fear. Fear of what? Of yourself? Everything I see, everything is me. A little saying I once thought up. Me is capital I, the Atma, which conveys the whole sense of the experience. If a Zen Buddhist heard it, I think he would experience Satori. Can you fear yourself? No, you fear only the unknown. Once anything is known, the fear drops away. Once you know yourself to be part and parcel of the Atma, what is there to fear?
So again, oneness. So if I am everything, then everything is me. And if everything is me, then I know everything. So there is nothing left to fear, because we only fear the unknown. We read in the magical child also how a child moves into the matrices, and every progressive matrix that the child goes into, he is stepping from the known into the unknown. Once the unknown becomes known, then there is nothing to fear about it. So this is the same process that the Aghori also goes through.
The worst fear of all is the fear of death. Once you go beyond the fear of death, you go beyond all fears because you go beyond expectation and anticipation, which are the causes of most karmas. I must experience this enjoyment before I die, or I must prevent that person from interfering with my enjoyments. When death has no value for you, time loses its value, and then you don't bother about anything. Then you say, if I am meant to experience this enjoyment, I will experience it. Why bother about it?
So it is all about desires. If you are attached to the desire, it will always end up creating a problem for you. But if you are in the flow and you are allowing things to manifest, and whatever manifests, you enjoy it, then there is no question of anything hampering your progress. So he says, then you say, if I meant to experience this enjoyment, I will experience it. So why bother about putting an effort to create an opportunity? If you're meant to experience it, it will automatically manifest. So we come back to the four S's, right? Swata. Swata means by itself. So anything that comes into your life by itself, that is what you need to experience at that point in time. That is exactly what is being said over here.
Once you drop fear, the whole world is open to you because you have nothing to take from anyone. You know only how to give because you have nothing to hold on to. What can you possess when everything is you? You already possess everything. It is really a superb feeling.
So again, Shivang. Okay, so many times I will tell people that take the worst case scenario. Suppose you are in a particular situation, what is the worst that can happen? And once you accept what is the worst, then you can deal with whatever is the rest, right? Because if once you've accepted the worst, then anything that happens is always better than the worst. So if you've accepted death, right? Now there is nothing else worse than death, technically speaking. So then what is there left to fear?
From your high school diploma, you go on to the first 2 years of college temptation. All sorts of temptations will come your way. Spirits offering you fame or riches, ghouls offering to slaughter or maim your enemies, yakshanis offering you sexual favors. Any possible whim you might want fulfilled. If you take any of them up on their offers, you are finished. There is only one way to avoid it: refuse. If you are really sure you are part of the universal soul, then how can they give you anything or do anything for you? You are being taken care of by nature. You need not bother to accept any of these baits.
So again, spiritual egoism is a big issue. Okay, it's a really big issue. And unless you, many times there are many temptations. Yes, siddhis, all the siddhis that you get, when you're in the spiritual path, can actually become a deterrent. Because if you get enmeshed in the siddhis, then your progress into the next level automatically starts. We've been noticing this, when people come into the excursion, you will find that they can start using the one breath technique to locate things and all that. Now, if you get attached to that, then you'll get stuck to it. But over a period of time, what I'm seeing is that people who are attending the next programs, that siddhi actually drops. I think there are some people over here who can vouch for that. If you want to unmute and say that after some time, that siddhi goes. So automatically you're on the next path rather than getting stuck onto that path where you're locating things for people. Kavita Didi, will you like to say something about it?
I totally agree with you, Niket. And
No,
it does not matter also. You just it's just okay. You can't see it, you don't see it.
no, you have to say the whole thing. That in the
Whole thing
beginning,
like
after you did the progress, you
so
were able to find things for many people, right?
I could just see things, yeah, lying it here, there, everywhere. And of course, now I don't. And what I'm trying to tell you that even if I don't feel bad that, oh God, why can't I see it? Aisa kya ho gaya? That's what I was coming to, Niket.
Yeah. So you have to say the whole story. You can't start in the middle and expect everyone to.
Yeah, most people don't know about this, Kavita.
Oh God,
Yeah.
most
So
people, yeah.
in the beginning, what started happening that she actually started. Pehle people used to come to me. Then I dropped it. Then Sri Mangla used to start searching for things. Then Kavita Didi started, and then it progressed to some other people. So we used to point them. Now he can do it or she can do it. You please go and talk to that
So
person.
Niket, who's next in
I
the
don't know. I
awareness
think it's
now?
gone.
But Niket, it was really strange because you could actually see the thing just lying there.
Yeah.
So, and it would just pop up from there. So it was very interesting.
Yeah. So now if she got stuck in that, then the rest of the progress would not take place. The next level would not start happening. So this is what he's trying to say over here.
The college degree is awarded in Aghora only after the next examination attack. When the hordes of ethereal beings find they can't tempt you, they will try to drive you mad with their power of fright. But don't bother. How can they harm you? You are part of the totality of existence, and your mother is looking after you. What more do you want?
So
After your graduation,
again over here, what is happening? When you go into these altered states, then since it is an unknown state of consciousness, right? You can fall sick. You will fall sick. In this progression, you will fall sick. It's a given. And then you need to transcend it. If you get into fear in the process, then again it will start creating problems for you. So that's why that complete faith that I am a part of nature and nature will look after me is very, very important in this process.
after your graduation, you are awarded your degree, clairaudience and clairvoyance. Then you go anywhere, eat anything, and you are carefree because something is directing your every move. You become just like a yantra. The cosmic Shakti plays through you, and you enjoy the bliss. But this is the final stage. You must start at the bottom and go through the grind. I
So,
hope you can understand by now that it takes a special temperament to become an Aghori. Not everyone be able to do it.
okay, so now what? Okay, so when you go into all this stuff, then you'll get the sight. You'll be able to have premonition. You will be able to predict things. You'll be able to hear things. Okay, so clairaudence and clairvoyance, and then you become the yantra. So you start following your dictate. So you start following what the universe is telling you to do. You'll get an incline whether I should do this or not do this. Will this food be good for me? If you come to a crossroad, which road should you take? You'll get an inner voice which will start guiding you. Okay, so it says very clear here, you become just like a yantra. So what is a yantra? A yantra is an instrument. You become an instrument of the divine, of the universe. But it
And
clearly
doing
says
this,
over here that you have to start at the bottom, right? You cannot start at the top. You have to go through the grind to be able to get there.
So Niket,
Yeah. हाँ
would
बोलिए.
you also say this is like an intuition? Because I at least feel a lot of this stuff, that do
Correct.
this or don't do
Naturally.
this.
So that's
And I
the.
thought it was coming through because of the Monroe
No,
different.
naturally the
Yeah.
Monroe stuff is like a fast forward, right? It
Mm-hmm.
creates a very stable field for you in which you can actually experience all this. So that's what I keep telling people, that what took me 25 years to do, you all are
Mm-hmm.
experiencing it in 2 days, right? But then you can use that process to tune into that
Indeed.
aspect.
Right.
And the Monroe process creates a very stable field for us to be able to
Mm-hmm.
experience all that we are reading in this book without going through the grind of eating flesh and all that stuff. We go
Oh God.
directly into that state of consciousness.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And doing it is just part of it. Getting out of what you are doing is even more difficult than doing it in the first place. Suppose you get involved in strenuous penances with the use of intoxicants. You can't just quit them once you feel you've had enough because your body won't be able to take it. You have to reduce them gradually, and so many Aghoris forget why they have been taking the intoxicants, and even after years, they become simple addicts, unable to give them up, ruining their consciousness in the bargain.
So, what does this mean now? Now, the problem with all these sadhanas is that if you forget the ultimate goal, you can be totally diverted from your goal and get addicted in the practice that you were doing. So yes, the practice can create an awareness for you, but if you get stuck with the practice, then it becomes a huge problem. And this happens to a lot of people. That's why they can't achieve, they get stuck in the process only rather than transcending the process at the end.
You know the reason I quit using intoxicants? I used to use them all day long, 24 hours, and then I realized that the greatest intoxicant there is exists within me at all times. It is free, easy to use, harmless, and never gives me a hangover. It is the name of God. It gives the best concentration of mind. The effects of alcohol or marijuana or whatever will wear off by the next day, but the intoxication caused by God's name just goes on increasing. There is no end to it. I use it all the time and it always works for me. No matter.
So now what is it saying over here? If I can create, I'll tell you, all the chemicals, right? All the drugs that people use in recreational medicine or as recreation are actually drugs which are created by the body, the endorphins, etc. They're all created by the body. The drugs are a synthesis or the chemical synthesis of those particular drugs which the body itself creates. So if I can produce, I can go into a state of consciousness where those drugs are automatically getting created by the body, then I do not need to use external drugs. Now the benefit is that when the body creates the drugs, it knows exactly when we need it, number one, and also it knows the exact quantity in which that thing needs to be produced. But when you take external drugs, you do not have that ability to be able to monitor how much and when, right? So that's why if I can use a technology to take me into an altered state which allows my body to create for me what I need, then naturally I don't need the external drugs. And that is what hemisync does for us, or the Monroe sound technology does for us, because it allows us to access these altered states of consciousness without any external chemicals. Okay, it allows us to experience them.
No matter what has been my problem, the holy name of God has always been my solution. This is true Aghora. Forget all the externals, only when your heart melts and is consumed in the flames of your desire for your beloved will you ever come close to qualifying to learn the true Aghora.
So again, the name of God. So what does that imply? The mantras, right? The chanting. So, what is chanting? Whenever people are chanting, we tell this in the excursion workshop also, that one person is chanting at a particular frequency from here, another person is chanting at a different frequency from here. And because of that, a binaural beats get created inside your head, which takes you into an altered state. Now, once you are triggered by that particular chant, which takes you in an altered state, now if you just chant that vibration, if you just chant the word, it will automatically shift you into an altered state. So that is what is being used over, that is what he's saying over here, that if I use the word of God or that particular mantra, it automatically shifts you into the altered state, so I do not need intoxicants anymore.
Chapter 7, Spirits. If a 4-year-old boy were to sit on top of his dead grandmother, pick up his father's japamala, and begin to do jap, what sort of boy would you say he is? You would have to say he was born to do smashan sadhana. I have seen a boy who did that. Why, even I, when I was a child, used to build my toy funeral pyres out of twigs and matchsticks. It is an inborn tendency in someone who is meant to be an agori.
So again, what is happening over here, right? We are a sum total of all our experiences, and all our experiences means, technically speaking, everything is happening at the same time, but our past lives or what we have learned also comes with us, right? So we have the ability to access whatever we have learned previously, and that can come up in this lifetime also. So that's where the propensity comes up. We have these geniuses, right? Like Beethoven, Mozart. They started playing when they were really young children. They never learnt anything. It just started flowing. That means they had done the sadhana previously, and this life it just manifested.
Spirits. The true nature of Aghora sadhanas has always been a closely guarded secret given by a guru only to his most trusted disciples. They have to be secret because they are not in the realm of the written or spoken word. They deal with planes of existence which are unbelievably alien to our everyday lives. And ethereal beings are jealous. They don't like just anybody to find out about them. If you go around telling everyone what you have achieved, you will definitely suffer.
So again, most of these esoteric principles, because they make you so powerful, they were always hidden. And even with Robert Monroe, this is one of the things, that he had actually created the frequencies for Focus 27 while he was alive, but it only came out to the end of his life, right? He was very fearful of actually letting out the frequencies, because he got to understand that when people go into these altered states, they can achieve a lot, they can transform, right? So he kept it as a hidden secret. Like that, any kind of spiritual sadhana, if the person who is going to do it is not capable of doing it, or is not capable of handling the authority and the responsibility which comes with the power, it always lands up creating a problem. Okay, so we have situations in all kinds of spiritual texts, where, in Muslims you have the shaitan, in Christianity you have Satan, we have the asuras and the demons over here. What were they? Today Ravan was considered one of the most learned people. He was a very powerful person, but did he use his powers in a proper way? That is what comes into practice over here, right? So that's why these things were always hidden.
You should always eat in private. You should always go on a pilgrimage alone. When you make love, there should be only the two of you present. And when you perform a ritual, you must never permit anyone else to be present if you don't want it to go wrong. This is the sensible way of doing things. One of the most basic of Aghora sadhanas is Munda sadhana. Munda means skull, and this sadhana involves the use of both human and animal skulls. You prepare them in a certain pattern, cover them nicely, sit on top of them, and then do your job. Very simple.
So again, in quantum physics, they have found that if they are doing an experiment and three people are watching the experiment, you will get one result. And if a fourth gets added, if a fourth gets added, what will happen is that the result will be different, right? So over here also, you're performing some esoteric kind of experiments when you're doing these sadhanas. So if any other person is observing you, that person's observation is going to screen the result. That is why these sadhanas were done in secret. Okay. Indra Bhabi, you want to say something? Please unmute.
Nikhil, I wanted to ask, it says that when you're doing rituals, if there's somebody watching, then it might go wrong. Is
Correct.
that what you, is it what you said just now? That is that.
Exactly. That's what I said, right? In quantum physics, they found that the observer screens the experiment.
Okay. And another question I have is sometimes when a task is given to you, it's not that you have a particular skill to do the task or you've done it before, but somehow you know how to do it. Now,
Correct.
where does that come from? Is that a carry forward from having done it in some previous?
It could be, but generally speaking, if you are in the flow, then
Mhm.
whatever is coming up for you, you're capable of doing it. Otherwise, it won't come up for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask a
Yeah,
question?
please.
So, is it advisable when you're doing havans for your health and welfare for the entire family? Should you invite people over or shouldn't you invite people?
You see, this inviting people over when you're doing a puja has
Yeah.
become a social thing right now. Previously, all these things were done in a very, very closed group. They were not open to public. You
Okay.
understand? Nazar is something which is extremely there, whether you like it or not. Because with what intention people are coming to your house, you do not know. So why do you need to invite them in the first place? So if you're really doing really powerful spiritual sadhana, it is advisable not to invite anyone into the state unless they are of like-minded people. They are like-minded people. Are you getting what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
No, especially if you're doing it for a happy, joyous occasion, like
No, no,
it
no,
could.
no. Whatever you may be doing it, naturally whatever you do for your well-being, right?
Right.
Now, even eating food is a ritual, technically speaking. So he says over here, very clearly he says over here, right? That you should always eat in private. What does that imply? Even the point that you're eating food is that the stomach is the havan kund and you're putting an ahuti inside the havan kund. So even that should be done in private. That's why most agoris and most spiritual people, they ate alone. They did not eat in front of anyone. Okay.
But
Point very.
Niket, there's another practice which we have in our communities when a woman turns pregnant. For the first few months or the first few weeks, you keep it under hush hush.
Correct.
Is it because of the nazar or?
Yeah, the same thing. Na? Someone may not have a good intent about it.
Okay.
So today, see, I'll tell you, most of my clients, I always tell them underplay yourself. Never overplay yourself. Today, that is very important because you never know who has a bad eye on you, right? No
Right.
one is happy with your progress. This is what
Mhm.
I've seen over the years. There will be very few people who will be happy with your progress. So it's always better to keep under wrap what you are. And if you see our elders also, today, see, most of us are Marwadis in this call over here. If you see, look back into yourself and think about it. What have you created? Seriously think about it. What have you created? if you look back, most of us are eating out of what our forefathers created.
Yeah.
We have not created anything because they used to consume less and save more. We have started to consume more and save less. So we are
True.
constantly eating into capital. Okay. So now what does that imply? That means if you're consuming more, that means you're showing off.
Yeah.
Whereas the mantra that time was that if you earned 100, you ate 50, you did charity of 25 and you saved 25. That's what my father always told me. Right? Now today, what are we doing? We are consuming tomorrow's income. Most of us. Are you all getting what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So where is the saving? Where is the charity? How many of us can genuinely say that we do 25% charity? Genuinely. Can anyone say that you do
None.
25% charity of your income? Please raise your hand. I don't think there'll be anyone. Are you all getting what I'm saying? Now, if you see all the dharamshalas which were made, all the schools that were made, what were they made by? They were made by the charities of the business people, right? Or of people who were earning and they were giving charity. How many of us do charity anymore? Think about it.
Nikitya, I have a question also.
Yeah,
Now, when we're talking about rituals and havans and how it should be done privately, nazar ka baat jo hota hai. So weddings, I mean
yeah.
weddings are also, I mean jab wo,
Absolutely. So I have a very big problem with this.
हाँ,
I have a huge
hmm,
issue with it. Today, a wedding is a high, it's one of the most important yagyas that you will ever perform
yeah,
in your life.
yeah,
And the yagya is given the least importance.
yeah. Everything else is more important.
So,
And
I mean, today, if I had my way, I wouldn't have anyone there. I would have only close family members who are really interested in the well-being of the couple,
mm-hmm,
to be frank with you. I will tell you today, in while the fera is going on, the groom and the bride are being fed
mm-hmm.
in so many cases. You see, shoes etc. are on the havan on the place where the havan is going on. The fire, you should never be seated above the fire. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
How many weddings do you see that the groom and the bridegroom and the parents of the bride are not sitting above the fire?
Most because they are on
Think
chairs,
about
right?
it.
Huh.
Either you raise the level of the fire so that you are at the same level, or you sit on the floor. जब भी आप हवन करते थे, तो you were always on the ground,
On the,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So then think about it. And most of the time around the havan area, food is being served, your people are drinking, all that stuff is going on and it's a huge havan, to be frank with you. And how many people are actually interested in the havan?
Mm. True.
So
Many a times nowadays, Niket, the groom is also drunk. It is so sad.
That's the saddest, huh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
again, see, now that's a big problem, right? You're going to
Yeah.
do the biggest yagya of your life
Uh,
and you're intoxicated.
Mm.
You're not in your
exactly.
senses.
Yeah.
If you were an Aghori and you could handle your intoxicants, then no problem. It becomes part of the ritual. But forget the groom, my dear. The brides are drunk nowadays.
Okay.
And let me tell you, the brides are more drunk than the groom. So I have a big issue
नहीं
with this.
बोलो उतना ही अच्छा है.
अच्छा बुआ चुप.
Yeah, Bhaiya, why did they not want to eat food with anybody? I mean that.
अरे आप कुछ खा रहे हैं. How many times have you been to a restaurant and you're eating and there are people waiting for a table and they are watching you eat? Do you feel good?
That's horrible. Mm.
Yeah.
You feel good, you tell me?
हाँ, यही
Aren't
नहीं
they
जाते
seeing,
हैं।
Arey, why is he eating? He should eat fast. Why isn't
हाँ,
he finishing? Why isn't she finishing? Why are they sitting around chatting? Okay, now does that leave a good feeling in your?
वो
Yeah.
Right? So
नजर लग जाता है।
if I go to a restaurant and I find someone is standing, I'll say, Arey, eat quickly and let's get out of here.
True. Very true.
तो निकेत, हम लोग में ना
खाया
पहले
ही नहीं
जापा
जाता है।
में
हाँ, बोलिए.
जापा में जिस द पर्सन हु वाज नर्सिंग द बेबी, उसका
Yeah.
खाना हमेशा ढक के जाता था. इट नेवर वेंट
हाँ,
ओपन.
हाँ,
देयर
Correct.
वाज अ लॉट ऑफ
अभी भी
डूज
ले
एंड
जाते हैं।
डोंट्स. हाँ.
Absolutely, ढक के जाता था. The person used to be isolated with the baby. Again, we read in Magical Child that the child should be not exposed to heavy sunlight right in the beginning. So you have to have an atmosphere which is dark, which is a stable atmosphere for the baby, right? So all those were practices which were put into place for the growth of the baby. But now we do not accept it. So the mother is and then we used to always say that the mother should read good things while she's pregnant. She should be careful about what she eats. Why? Because the food is what is going into your system. Your thoughts are going into your food. So what are you eating that's going into the baby?
Listening to good music.
Exactly. So read good books, see good things, have good conversations. That was what was said. But nowadays the youngsters don't accept it. So
Also, the baby's milk bottle was always covered.
correct, absolutely.
But Bhaiya, now it's coming back. People are appreciating the old now again.
Yeah.
People are going.
Hopefully. Yeah, but then they're taking it to the opposite extreme now, no? The youngsters are following rituals which are there in the Western books, which आज जैसे ये सूंठ वगैरह का जो अपना बनता था वो सब, and there used to be a
Salt
lot
के
of ghee
लड्डू।
and all that. How many youngsters eat it today, you tell me? But that was very important for strengthening the body system.
Yeah, the bones.
Salt and all has a lot of calcium, so that used to be consumed. Ghee used to be used to lubricate the entire system, which allows the milk to form properly. But then today youngsters don't accept it, so we can't help it. Okay, I think we can stop here. Anything, anyone else?